In this video, we'll look at the use of basic file handling operations. We're going to dive straight in here and use the example of the Python program on the left to explain some simple file handling operations. But we'll be showing you what the pseudocode format looks like later, which you'll see in the exam. So this program is going to ask for the name of a character. It's going to look up the name of that character in a text file and then output all their various attributes. So, for example, their health, their stamina, and their hunger. You will see here that we've got a very fixed format to our text file, which we're going to be reading to and writing from. We've got a name, and that's a string, followed by 3 integers, each on a separate line. And they're always going to have to be in that order. So the first integer under the name will be health, followed by stamina, followed by hunger, and then immediately followed by another name. You can see that our program requires the items from the text file to be in this very certain order, and this is known as data dependency. It's something you have to be careful of when dealing with writing and reading from simple text files. So let's actually work through the Python program on the left. The first thing we do is we ask the user which character they want to output from the text file. Next, we open the file for reading. The open command takes 2 parameters. So characters.txt, that's the name of the file we want to open, and then R, and that's indicating what we want to do with the file. In this case, read from it. Next, we've set a Boolean variable to false to indicate that we haven't yet reached the end of the file. We then enter an iteration statement, in this case a condition-controlled while loop, and we're going to iterate through the file, 1 line at a time, until we reach the end of the file. At this point, we'll change the end of file flag to true so that we know we've reached the end of the file. We now read in 4 lines from the file, one after the other. Each line read in is placed into an appropriate variable in the program: name, health, stamina, and hunger. Now we check if the character we read in from the file is the one we're looking for, and if they are, we output the data to the screen. If the name we read in contains no data, we know we've reached the end of the file. In this case, we set our end of file flag to true, which will cause our while loop to terminate. Finally, we need to close the file. So that's simple reading data from a file. What about writing data to a file? Well, let's look through this sample program on the left. So the first thing we're going to do is get the user to input the details for a new character. And we're going to store those in the program in some sensible variables called name, health, stamina, and hunger. In a very similar way to how we read from the file, we now open the file again, but this time for writing. The open command, in a similar way to the read command, takes 2 parameters. The first is the name of the file we want to open, characters.txt, and then the second is a parameter. This time though, we've got 2 choices. We can either supply A, which means we want to append to the file, or W, which means create a new file and overwrite its contents. So we're going to supply A, so we can add new entries to the end of the existing characters.txt file. Next, we write the contents of each variable onto a new line in the character text file. Note how we add the string \n, which means start a new line. It's as if you'd pressed enter. And once again, once we're done with the file, we close it. So they were obviously all examples in Python, which is quite likely to be the language you might be learning, but it's important you understand the pseudocode format which will be used in your exam. So remember, it's always good practice to open a file before you want to use it and close a file when you're done, and they're shown at the top and the bottom. And when you open a file, you specify the mode, either read or write. So it's a bit simpler in the pseudocode than in Python. Let's actually have a look at some example pseudocode. So this example here, which puts all the operations together, shows how we'd copy a line from one text file, file a.txt, to another, file b.txt. That's everything you need to know for the exam. Pause the video and take some notes.